Hey, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be finally putting on the charge pipes that I've been trying to get to doing for a few weeks now. Haven't had a video in a couple weeks, been real busy. This weekend I plan on doing this, and as you can see on the cowl, it's been snowing outside. It's a little winter wonderland out there. But right now I got it pulled in the shop. I'm going to show you guys how to mount the charge pipes with our intercooler setup that we've got built here. This is gonna have clamps on it, but I gotta kind of fab all this up. Already got one started, and basically it's just two of these little kits. You can pick these up on Amazon. They have a bunch of bends in them. I mean, you can pick them up anywhere, but they've got a bunch of bends in them, eBay, whatever, and there's enough there to do quite a bit. I ended up having to get two of these kits. They're about 150 a piece, I think, for these. It's just aluminum, nice aluminum sections. I've already done a little bit with that first piece, getting it on there, just kind of see. And I'm also going to show you guys how to bead roll the ends. That way, you see, that way your clamps don't just slide off the end with your boots. So, comes with clamps, comes with boots, all kinds of stuff. So, I'm going to get going on this. It's going to be a little time lapse today, but we're going to get this charge pipe made and then talk a little bit more about the build. So, all right, so I've got this clamped on. It's kind of rubbing right here. I'm going to do some adjustments. The weight of it sticking out of there is actually making it come this way. So it's going to be braced. I might just brace it to one of those with something. Just make a little tab and brace that. But I'll probably worry about that later. Right now I'm just trying to get it all ran. So but that's all clamped. I got it all clamped down here. And then I got a bend that I cut, and it comes up, and this is going to end up sitting about right here. So the goal is to have this come up and then go to the intake. So I'm going to pop this off. I've already got that sensor right there disconnected, so I can pull that off. But the problem is that, well, let me just show you. If I have a 90 that'll go to that, so I'll just rest it on there. If I have a 90 that will go to that, the issue is it doesn't make it right there. It won't. It needs to be past 90 to be able to make that, so it comes off center. So what I'm going to have to do is just slightly bend this. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a torch to this part of it, and hopefully it will get soft enough I can just barely bend the thing. We're not talking about bending it very much, maybe 10 degrees, maybe 15 degrees, so that should be good. So I'm going to give that a shot, and we'll see what happens. All right, so after looking at it, I'm not gonna have to bend that piece because it doesn't have enough depth, as you saw, to reach. So I made a little extension section. That's just mocking it up, guys, so don't nitpick me on the cleanliness or the bead rolls or anything. And we're gonna get to how to do that under a budget. But I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave that little section because it allows me to tilt the throttle body kind of more towards where I need it for that elbow piece, and it comes real close down here. I don't know if you can see that in the time lapse, but it does come almost perfectly down to this other piece, enough to where a little boot will make the gap, no problem, and it won't be loose or anything. And so what I'm gonna have to do though is this AC line right here is gonna have to be bent more as a straight angle this way, and then I gotta bend it down from there. So I'm gonna get going on that real quick, and then hopefully we'll have it about done. And I'll show you guys how to bead roll them too. All right, so I got that mocked up pretty good, and this is the only section that I had left that I needed to bead roll. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. the cheap way. It's definitely not the best way, but it's gonna work fine and nobody's gonna see it. So if you look at these pliers, these are actually for wire stripping and crimping, and these are Snap-on brand, but there's other kinds. But what you need is the ones that have on the actual plier end of them has that little notch sticking out. You see the notch sticking out? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the notch to the inside, and then just barely on the inside of it, we're gonna take it with a clamp. So it did, it brought out a little section right there. And here's the fun part. Basically, you gotta go all the way around the whole thing doing that to get it to have a bead roll. It doesn't have to be perfectly all the way around, because the sealing factor is coming from the boot against the flat, but this bead roll is gonna keep the boot from sliding off the end. It's not gonna end up looking like this, because this is done with a machine that does bead rolling, and it's way quicker. But if you're on a budget, you don't want to buy one of those things, and you got a pair of these crimp pliers, that's what you can use. You can pick these up at any kind of parts, Harbor Freight, or whatever store. So anyways, I'm gonna get to doing this, and then we're gonna throw it all back on there. And after I clean out these pipes and everything, there is some aluminum shavings that's inside of these things, and you need to clean them before you ever start your engine or anything. Just do that. It will really save you a headache. Make sure you clean these. Anyways, I'm gonna get to bead rolling this, and we'll clean it and get it thrown on. Okay, well, that turned out pretty good. A little bead roll, you know, and it's not gonna be seen, so it doesn't have to be perfectly pretty like I got off right there, but not bad at all. It's gonna do the job. I think it's actually raised more than the pre-rolled side. So we're gonna clean up these pipes, get them thrown on, probably start it anyway, just to, you know, why not? And then talk more about this setup and what I wanna do in the future with it. Hey, there it is. So that's basically how this is gonna be. Runs down right here, everything's clamped, runs under. Currently I have it zip tied to 2 of the power steering lines right there. And I'll probably do something different for the bracing later, but it is actually surprisingly really sturdy. It's not gonna hit any of the pulleys, got a good amount of clearance, and then it can't be pushed or pulled backwards or forwards into anything. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you know, a little bit of Jenga mod going on. It's got some things pieced together. That little extension is not the prettiest over there, but you know, it's not a big deal. It's pretty clean visually from the top. This little bend, I'm not super excited about how that is, because I'm basically just angling it within a straight boot a little bit to kind of change the pitch. But we're only talking max 10 PSI here, and that's not gonna be right out of the gate anyway. So this ought to hold it no problem. It's not rubbing on those pieces on top or bottom. It actually has turned out really good. It's not even vibrating or rattling or anything. So yeah, so later on, what I wanna do is I wanna actually, whenever it's all done and it's working good, and like I said, this is gonna work fine. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but this is gonna work totally fine. I shouldn't have any problems out of it. And if I do, it's because I left a clamp loose or something.
Because he was made from trash. Look, I know this is a little strange, but you gotta trust me on this.
Now, what I wanna do is later on, I wanna pay somebody to make the whole charge piping system for me. That way it looks really clean. It's got pie cuts and it looks super clean, and then we'll have it powder coated, probably just red to match the engine or something, not sure yet. But there will be probably a blow-off valve mounted right here, and either way, turbo or supercharger, we're gonna need a blow-off valve. So I'll probably mount it like right here or on the other side of this, maybe up towards the top bend here, not sure. No matter what I do, these are getting removed. The washer fluid and the coolant is gonna get removed and relocated. So a lot of stuff still got to do, but the charge piping looks pretty dang good. It's got me excited looking at it. So anyways, I'm gonna start it up how it is, and let's see how it sounds. Yeah, I almost forgot to pull this boot off a second ago. Hey, that sounds pretty good, I think. It doesn't sound any different, obviously, but it definitely it definitely is fun to see that it's on there. It's functional. It's definitely, I don't think having any leaks, because I can do this. Watch that boot on that side over there. So yeah, I think that it's holding the vacuum, so I think it'll hold boost. This is pretty fun. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop off all this junk because it doesn't need to be on here right now. But there it is. That's the intake side on the charge piping. Looks super good. And I'm going to talk to you guys after I shut it off, and let's see about what's going to happen next. All right, so first of all, the next thing I'm gonna do is pop the piping off, put everything back to the way it's gonna be in A, which is naturally aspirated right now. I'm gonna take this intercooler off. You know, I may leave it just because it's easy to leave there and it doesn't matter. It's got caps, but I probably am just gonna take all this stuff off. I don't need to be driving around with an intercooler and a intake charge pipe system when I have no boost. That's just ridiculous. I'm probably gonna get made fun of for that. So I don't really wanna do that. It seems ridiculous to me. Definitely gonna hook up the other air system though, back to the filter over here behind me, because this is unfiltered, just coming through right here. And no, I'm not gonna just stick a filter on it. That would be kind of funny, but it'd get soaked and wet and if it rained, so we're not gonna do that. So anyhow, you guys, moving on to what we're gonna do next. I got an opportunity to go do a dyno. The guy who is gonna do the dyno for me, I'm probably gonna have him tune the truck when it's all said and done, and I mean all said and done. So I'm gonna get a before and after basically dyno out of it. We're gonna do a dyno now, and then after the fact, he's gonna do all the dyno tune and a street tune for the drivability side, and so I'll get my dyno numbers for the after then. So it'd be good to see where we come in, but I do want to say this: no matter what it makes right now, it's going to be wheel horsepower on the dyno, so it's at the wheel, not the engine. And also, we're on 33s. It's not going to be probably in our best advantage. So for me, this is more of a scientific thing than it is like flex my dyno numbers. We know what it does on the track, and that's what counts. We know that it launches really good for how big it is, but it kind of runs out of steam on the back end. And pretty much anything that's decently fast is going to run me down. So we're trying to get the truck to be at least a second faster with this boost system. So in the next video, I'm going to tell you what we are going to do to the truck. I promise you, no more shenanigans. In the next video, please subscribe, because the next video I'm going to tell you whether it's going to be a supercharger or a turbo. I will have that decision made. So stay tuned, subscribe, see you next Wednesday.